The Pathologic series is a series I view as something very important to art games, and games as a whole. However, there is one game in the Pathologic series I don't really see talked about as much as one or two, that being Pathologic the Marble Nest, the playable teaser and later DLC for Pathologic 2. It is a short but powerful 1 to 2 hour long experience, and as such I would like to do this little ramble about some of the themes that stick out to me. Now before we start, I should just say I really dislike recording video essays because I hate the sound of my own voice, and I'm gonna hate having to edit this in post. The meta stuff. First off, I'd like to discuss the obvious meta stuff that every Pathologic game contains. This one has it a bit less, kinda. There are mentions of things like breaking the quote-unquote rules. Breaking these rules will allow you to confront death at the end of the game, and choose not to die. I believe quote-unquote breaking the rules could represent a few things. The first being that Pathologic 2 is a retelling. Obviously it changes a lot of stuff, both in the gameplay, the rules of the game, and in the story, the rules of the narrative. And as such, by breaking the rules of the first and allowing Pathologic 2 to attempt to be something more than its predecessor. Transhumanism. Now when I say transhumanism, you probably think of cyberpunk, robot limbs, computer brains, and hey, Blade Runner was a pretty good movie. But the Marble Nest takes a different approach, since you're playing as a bachelor whose ideology can be described as transhumanist in his quest to rid the world of death. Immortality, and by extension transhumanism, are presented as something different in Pathologic, something more akin to metaphysical ghosts, a memory or a meme of a person, what remains of the world after they are gone. In Pathologic, this is represented by the Cain's ideology and their polyhedron, being something that contains a soul, not in the way we might think of something containing a soul. It is said to represent the soul of Simon Cain. However, when we get there in Pathologic 2, the children instead speak with the voices of the developers. They are now immortalized in their work of art. This is also shown with Eva, as she is remembered by Daniil. Her soul is tied to the house. This is also shown with Daniil himself, as the town folks remember him. His ghost remains trapped in town. This is how we break the rules in the Marble Nest. Not to fade away and die, but also not to deny death, but instead become something more than human. And the Bachelor just needs to die to get there. To coexist with death, that is, I believe, the core message of Pathologic the Marble Nest. The third interpretation is something I believe to be the probably most correct interpretation, that it's entirely an experience constructed to make you feel something, a range of emotions, through its atmosphere, its well-written dialogue, and its questions about death and immortality. In the game, death is not really death, but an actor, a fill-in for the developers so they could have this dialogue with you about death through this game, and help you understand your immortality through its mechanics and its storytelling. So that was my little rant about Pathologic the Marble Nest, a great work of art and a great game that I highly recommend.